I don't know if you know about me, but I love to learn not only about myself, but about ways in which I can be more effective. And I think that applies to everybody. So I am more than tickled to answer these questions. So I figured maybe the best way for me to do that was via a video log or a vlog. So that's the way in which I'm going to send this to you. So I'm just going to take each question one by one and would like to answer them. So the questions are: why week? When did you last learn something for the pure fun of it? And what was it? Wow. Pure fun of it. Well, I'm probably seen as a little bit of a interesting character when it comes to that, because to me, learning and growing is fun. And so for me, every time I read a book, it's for the pure fun of it. I just love to read things, especially when it comes to the brain and the way that we think and act as humans and interact with each other. To me, that's super fun. And that sounds kind of nerdy, and I realize how it sounds coming out of my mouth that it's kind of nerdy, but I think, I probably read somewhere around seven, on average, 7 books a month. And so I just consumed about 5 in 2 weeks. But that was because I was doing a lot of traveling. So I would say that, I'm constantly learning all kind of new things. You'll see some examples of books that I've read behind me. And so I think it's just fun for me to learn new things about myself. Every little helps week. How your dots connect. Tell us a little bit about how what you learned along the way has helped to get to where you are now. Well, my story is probably too long for this video log, but I actually graduated college and thought that I knew everything I needed to know. And I was humbled early in my career to realize and find out that I didn't know everything I needed to know, and not even close. So I'm a firm believer that you never, ever know everything you need to know, and that you should constantly be on this learning, evolving mindset. And matter of fact, my 3, when people ask me about leadership and Terrell, what have you learned? What advice could you give? A lot of young and up and coming people ask me that question, and I love to narrow things down to 3, and this is no different. And the 3 for me are: be humble. The first thing that every leader has to be is humble. The second thing that every leader has to be, and there's different terminology for this, but some would call it hungry. But I call it always be learning. So number 1 is always be humble, but number 2 is always be learning. And that's reading and studying and, getting coaching from other people, and whatever it is, always be getting better. Because if you're not, then you're standing still or moving backwards in our world, okay? So I would just say that my dots connect by just following those first 2 principles. My 3rd principle is always remove the drama. So try to live drama free, which is this book, No Ego, is awesome for that, by the way. But that's my 3. Be humble, always be learning, and be drama free. When week, how do you fit learning into your busy schedule? Great question. Well, I read. I listened to Dave Ramsey one time, and he said something that really resonates with me, and some of you out there may know the same thing, but he said, when I read a book, it makes the plane fly faster. And I believe it. Honestly, when I read a book, I get to wherever I'm going faster. And so every time I'm on a plane, I have a book, and I like to pass the time in that way. I do not listen to the news. I don't watch the news. I do not listen to the radio. I do have a playlist, so I do have music, and there are certain places where I'll listen to music. But a lot of times when I'm working out and when I'm driving, which is a lot in Houston, I am listening to a podcast or a book. Sometimes I'll listen to a book, but I like to read more than I do listen. But I'm always listening to a podcast. So I work it into every free moment that I have when I'm not with another human being. I try to work into learning. What's your favorite TED Talk, podcast, or book? Oh my gosh. I actually have 3 video logs on my YouTube channel, which talk about what are my top books, my top podcasts, and what have you. But for this one, I'm going to tell you, there is no better TED Talk than Simon Sinek's. So if you just want to go to one TED Talk, go to Simon Sinek's Why. Okay? It's awesome. But anything by Sinek, there's so many out there. There's so many great TED Talks out there. It's even hard to start. But I would say Simon Sinek for sure. Podcasts, I have 6 podcasts right now that I'll go back and forth to. But my top 3, leadership is EntreLeadership. That's unbelievable. Self-development is a Ziglar podcast. And LeadX by Kevin Kruse is my 3rd one. Books, there's too many. There's too many to start with. There's 5 of them right there, though. They're pretty cool. But there's so many that it's not even funny. If you really want my book list, you need to hit me up separately. If you read any one book on leadership, it's that one right there. It's awesome. What do you think everyone should learn regardless of their job, or what do you enjoy learning outside of work? Well, I have a lot of hobbies outside of work. So, I'm an avid snowboarder. I love everything it does for me. It kind of gives me peace. It takes me away, takes my mind away. It's also very active. I do like to play tennis as well. But I think this one maybe, I think mindfulness may be the one thing that I think everyone could benefit from. And it's kind of cheeky, and people are like, it's breathing, it's, meditation. It just seems like it's too far out there, but it's unbelievable. No one that has ever embraced it with an open mind has ever gone back and said, nope, didn't work for me. Terrible. I don't know anybody that's had that feedback. So I would say mindfulness. And make it stick. What do you do to make sure that what you've read or learned about sticks and doesn't get lost in the business of the day-to-day? I think I just try to make it relevant. So I talk about it. I'll build it into conversations when I'm having conversations with my leadership team, or with the people that I work with, or my family. I constantly review books and stuff with my family. I mean, I think my kids, get so much out of, listening to their dad talk about the books that mean a lot to him. Right now they don't mean as much to them, right? So, but they will one day. They will see that, and it will be so much easier for it to click for them. But I also am interested in books that do speak to them, so that I can talk to them from that perspective. So that's how I make it stick. I hope that answered your questions. I hope that was what you were looking for, and I am here if anyone has any questions or wants further information. Thank you, and see you later.